Speaking of hot things that melt, Boise startup Flashpoint wins big with innovative construction approach. This comes by the Boise Dev by Ann Daly. A Boise startup Flashpoint Building Systems recently won a $50,000 at this year's Boise Entrepreneurial Week. The company is making waves in the construction industry by using laser technology to reduce the cost of home building and streamline the process. Flashpoint innovative approach involves laser engraving a combined set of architectural, mechanical, engineering, and plumbing plans onto a subfloor. This marked subfloor can then be followed by all members of the construction crew. Co-owner Pat Churchman explains, quote, "We wanted to create a tool that could be used by anyone, reduce confusion, reduce labor time, reduce material waste, and give all users visibility on what needs to be built and where it needs to be built," end quote. The laser creates a light indentation that won't rub off or wash off in heavy weather, and a dark black line that is easily visible. As the laser marks the piece, it creates a charcoal resin, which seals the mark, making it waterproof. The company pairs this idea with CNC technology, which uses the same vector drawing format that plans are designed in, reducing the need for additional work. In the last 18 months, Flashpoint has completed over 100 single-family homes and is currently working on a commercial hotel project. Co-owner Nick Stapello notes that the technology has been beneficial not only for construction crews, but also for designers. Quote, "It has empowered designer professionals to know what they are drawing is actually going to get built," he said. The company's innovative approach has led to significant time savings. For the 100 projects they've completed, they've reduced the time frame duration from 16 days to just 6 to 8 days. Additionally, Flashpoint's technology has helped reduce the time it takes to redo projects. Churchman pointed out that the rework constitutes about 10% of all project costs, equating to over $20 billion in the U.S. alone, and represents a roughly 380,000 homes that end up in the landfill each year. Which, this just beautifully tied into what we were talking about earlier. I did not plan that, ladies and gentlemen, but I thank the Lord for it. It just did. But anywho, besides the beautiful transitions and interlocking here, I think this is a really cool idea. The idea of like, cool, we've got these lasers. We've already got this whole floor plan. We can kind of laser it all out. And then everyone knows what to do. Because when I've worked on projects and different things, half the battle half the time is knowing what on earth you are doing, where you have the different manager and you're like, where do you want this? How do you want this? Do you want to bulge out this way? Do you want to do it that way? Well, in this case, a lot of that's already solved. But I'm going to actually turn this more over to John because I know this is more of his area of expertise.
Yeah, so I worked on a framing crew for a summer while I was in college, and that was definitely one of the biggest things was being able to translate the plans onto the slab. And so if you could have someone come in and I don't know, how long did you say it takes to laser engrave the slab?
I don't think they said here, but I'm guessing real quick by the way they're saying this, it probably is only going to take them maybe an hour, if I'm guessing.
Right. I assume it's quick. That was a day-long job for us to just mark out the slab. And that was two of us. And my job was just to stand there and hold the one end of the thing right where my boss told me to. And then he would pull his tape line down and we would snap lines. And I could see that becoming a problem because if he reads the plan wrong, if he goes a couple inches over here and there, if your laborer is a dumbass, then it just takes longer and creates problems and issues in the future. So yeah, if you can laser engrave that slab, pour a bunch of slabs, laser engrave them, and then get your framers working on them almost immediately, well, then you've just saved a bunch of time. And that's a good thing.
Plus also the waterproof part they were saying here, because like when you're doing those lines, those are chalk, right?
Yep.
I'm guessing, well, if it rains or whatever and you don't get the frame up, then it's already gone.
Yeah.
Rather than this, it doesn't matter if it rains.
Yeah, because you're etching into the thing. So yeah, no, this sounds great to me. This sounds like the type of innovation that we need to be working on to move construction forward, to be able to save money and time, because those are things that are highly necessary for us to do. And like you said, we were talking about that earlier with housing. We have got to be able to build more housing more quickly. And as much as I hate to say it, regulations aren't going anywhere. So how do we build quicker with the constraints that we have? This seems like a good way to do it.
That, or I would argue, be involved in your local city councils and zoning and planning meetings, because that'll change regulations, I think, pretty quickly, when I've seen how quickly city councils can pivot when a great deal of their populace is not happy with decisions they make. Because your voice is very powerful at your local level.
Yeah, that is true. Being involved is a very important thing.
But anyways, super cool to see. Idaho Boise startup. Anytime that Idaho has some cool things like this, I love to point it out. Hopefully it will help them as they're going through their development, because any startup, money is desperately needed and lacking at all times in a startup world. And hopefully this should help them. And it'll be cool to see how this affects the process here in the Treasure Valley. And hopefully it speeds things up.